Welcome back to the Health Tech Edge. I'm Mike Moore. This season's all about AI agents, how they're changing healthcare from the inside out. Today, we're going to go deep on a pain point every provider feels: claim denials. Not only are they costly, but they're often hard to fully understand, let alone solve. Joining me is Michael Riley, co founder and chief product officer of Gabeo. His team is building AI tools to identify, prevent, and even reverse denials using real data, not guesses. Michael, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Happy to be here. Very excited about this.
Yeah, this is great. I'm looking forward to getting into the conversation. So maybe let's start with your background. How did you end up at Gabeo?
Well, long story short, I was a software engineer for many years. And then about 15 years ago, I guess, I applied and was accepted into a startup accelerator. That led to me co-founding my first startup, Post. Since then, I've had 3 successful exits. This is now my 4th co-founder role. And, B2B AI software is kind of what I've been doing these last 15 plus years. And so, yeah, I met Diego, the CEO of Gabeo AI, and we just hit it off. We knew from the very beginning that we were at least going to be friends, and really just kind of, the positive energy we're bringing in the space. We have a kick-ass team that's really just dominating in AI. And so just excited about everything we're doing and the progress we're making. We have some really large customers that are very happy about the ROI they're getting, because we really, I think, figured out how to actually apply this hard data science and AI in ways that work with our own technology. We're not just leveraging, other tools or something. No, we build it all 100% in-house. And so it's really cool and exciting company to be working with.
So that I think is interesting that you've got this ability, right? Like your role harnessing the technology and kind of using its power to solve problems. I know from speaking with Diego, he has a medical background, right? So you're kind of in this healthcare space, can kind of point this big, set of resources, this powerful technology at kind of any problem that exists in healthcare. So why did you, at least initially here, choose to focus on denials as the area and kind of that initial use case for the company?
Yeah, no, it really just came from product discovery, talking with our customers in the space. There are a lot of, crowded, markets here with this type of technology, a lot of like RCM. And so we found that with denials, though, we found a gap. It was really what we identified in our research. And it was just an easy way to get in. We found a way without integrations that we can come in and get a huge amount of ROI in this area of denials. And we feel it's just overlooked because of the amount of ROI. We're looking at 10x to 40x ROI return in this area, but stuff that, revenue that they just basically were going to write off. And so it really just kind of going, where the value is. And it led us to this. And we found it a great way to get in the door with some of these like, big multi-billion-dollar healthcare providers that, have very difficult things. And so for us to get in there and do this, we had to prove ourselves. So we have case studies now showing this ROI, and we just found it a great way to start the conversation. And we have plans to offer a range of other software as well, based on agentic AI. And, again, following the data, following the value, and just going where our customers, want us to go, basically.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And, a lot in this season, we've talked about applied AI in healthcare. So making it real, making it happen. There's obviously this stuff of kind of predicting the future and what might things look like 10, 20 years from now, and how is AI changing the future of, everything, right? Not just healthcare. But what I like about your focus already is you're looking at a use case that is problematic, that's painful and hard to approach, and helping customers with something that maybe they thought, again, it was a write-off, right? So it's kind of impossible. So like anything is good, right? Like any progress you can make, but as you said, you're making some real impact. So it's a great starter use case for people because the risk is relatively low, right? We are already going to write it off. So why not go ahead and give it a shot if you guys can do something with it? And I'm sure you're building up those case studies as you go.
Yeah, the C-suite loves it because it's the bottom line to them. It's like millions of dollars minimum and free money. And then the other teams, the people working on these claims, makes them look good. Because really what we're doing is we're not trying to replace the people doing this. We're just augmenting them. We're helping them find the insights. And, we offer them the choice. Either we can automate, some of the work for you and kind of do it. Or you can, can show you how to do it yourself with your team. But either way, it's stuff that just is not getting done. That's the thing. It's new solutions in this space that they didn't have. The human beings are unable to do this level of data, of management. So what we're doing is really exciting in that way. Everyone loves us on kind of both sides, and we can prove it very, very quickly. Like I said, not having to do a multi-month integration. Within the first 30 days, we can tell you exactly how much money we can get for you on a regular basis. And again, it's like minimum of 10x. ROI in this space. So it's a pretty compelling sell. We're getting a lot of guesses. It's more than now, it's just for us, it's just kind of the bottleneck is just, reaching out and connecting with more of these people, because it's something I think is just really needed in this space.
Yeah, no, I think the opportunity here is vast, right? Because I think that when you break down the problems of healthcare in the United States specifically, and you look at the administrative waste, and there have been some articles that we always refer to. Journal of American Medical Association, I think, wrote a piece about the $500 billion of waste, right? The administrative overhead in healthcare, right? Like, so we say, when you compare us to healthcare systems around the world, in private versus public and all those kind of comparisons, but you look at the amount of money that's spent in the US healthcare system and then kind of the care outcomes that we drive versus other countries who spend less per person but drive greater outcomes in terms of health results. So there's a lot of variety, I think, in terms of how things go. Um, so what do we kind of dig in? Let's talk a little bit more specifically about what the product actually does. Can you talk us through kind of, what does that initial 30 days look like and kind of how it all comes together?
Yeah, so really, I mean, it starts with our team. We've got to know our customers, and our team really focus on data. Most of our data scientists, hard, deep AI, engineers. And so what we're doing is just looking at the data. That's where we always start. In that first 30 days, we just do an analysis. We just say to the company, give us all your data. And they have things that they just had no capability to execute on, the type of reporting. So we'll start with that, just kind of give an overview. Usually they're like, wow, we don't even charge for that. And they love it. It's a huge amount of value we can give them very quickly. Just a matter of, usually it's a few days, we get to, kind of get the credentials and figure out the format, some technicalities, but other than that, it's very, very fast. Within a few hours of actually getting the required data, we can provide that reports and adjust it based on the situation. And then again, tell them like what we foresee as being the recovered revenue. And oftentimes these companies, it's at least in the millions, that we can based on that data analysis and from our experience and doing the past. That's really our value. Like our team has been doing this for a while now and experts in this area. When some of the stuff is new, no other company is doing what we're doing. We're basically building like super agents. We have these agentic AI that have trained. We took the knowledge of like everyone that's like decades of experience in medical billing and put it into the AI and then trained it on this data. We built our own models from scratch. It's focused on this. We're not using some other general use, ChatGPT or no, this is all built in-house by our just amazing team. And then, yeah, it's like that. It's like you're having people come in there and give you insights into, there's just the things that no human being would ever be able to do. And that's kind of what we're offering them, again. So it's like a new tool for their toolkit that just leverages, data science to get this value. And so again, we're augmenting, kind of the human team members there and basically just making them look better because they can choose kind of how they want to interact with it. It's very flexible in that regard. And again, we can start doing it very, very quickly as well because of the lack of integration.
So it sounds like a big piece of it is kind of the coding and the charge capture up front, right? It's that maybe these services are being performed, but it's not being captured and coded and submitted. Is that a piece of what you're doing, as well as kind of when claims are going in and they're getting denied for whatever reason?
Yeah. It could be sometimes, again, it could be human error. That's the thing. A lot of these things are doing mailing. So maybe they put the wrong code or some detail, is not quite right. We built an extensive data set of like CPT codes, like ICD-10 codes, what have you, arguably maybe the world's best collection of this. We've been working on this for a long time from a very strong data science thing. So we have those insights. We can look at the claim very quickly and then know exactly what kind of appeal letter would be the one to get it approved. And we know, we have a confidence level. We kind of score it too. Of course, we're never going to get 100% of them overturned, but we shoot for, as close to 100% as possible, knowing those things. And really it is that logic system, the business rules, and which agentic AI is beautiful for. Because you can throw the data here, and it's stuff that human beings just would never get to. Because the complexity is just crazy. But that's where the value is. Like that's where we'll take basically any claim is to flip it and get reverse it in just the right way. And what we do works in seconds versus something these typical like the teams we see. It might be weeks. You need to get the denial, appeal it back and forth. Here we know exactly what to do, so that appeal it has the best chance, and it can do it in seconds. Something that a human being just again. It just would not be able to do that speed and that accuracy, right? And just the insights. And so again, we're tackling these high value, edge cases. Oftentimes, like most of the stuff, sure, like they're doing fine, but these add up. When you're talking like millions of claims, billions of dollars, in revenue a year, then yeah, tens of millions can just slip through the cracks. And our software agents are just, we made them from scratch to do exactly that, to find that money and recover it as fast as possible.
Do you notice patterns for specific payers without kind of naming, any specific company in your response? I would bet that, for maybe particular codes with particular payers, and maybe some of them are the more complex, thinking of people who are getting, I don't know, cancer treatments or maybe transplant surgeries or, very complex procedures or treatments, maybe those are the ones. But do you notice those patterns kind of by payer and kind of know like, oh, okay, these are likely if it's going to this insurance company to get, denied, and here's how we try to preempt that and try to improve it before it goes out?
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's again, more data, the better. We're seeing these insights, and so it varies, right? And these rules are always changing. That's the thing too. Is like we have we also consume like the business rules, whether they're like definition of financial responsibility, these DOFers often. So having that data and looking at these like across the entire industry and by payer basis, and just seeing the games a lot of them are playing too, with adjusting these things, because I mean that's kind of the game, right? Everyone's just trying to figure out a better way to do more denials. And basically, we're the weapon against that. And our team can move faster. And I think higher quality data than that. So I think it's going to be an ongoing war for a long time. But that's the point. Like again, the more they change things, the more data we collect, then the smarter our agents get. And there's really no way to lose in that situation. I think that's kind of the thing we're seeing. Other vendors and software companies in the space, they're not really doing things at scale. Versus we're doing things that are like hugely scalable because that's like when we designed it from the beginning. Again, we have engineering background. I understand these things. Our whole product is built to move very, very fast and adjust. So on a daily basis, we're making changes to optimize, what's going on here. And so, but we continue to see it, it's something that's never going to go away. If anything, it's going to continue to get worse. And so without this kind of insight and intelligence, other companies are just going to get left behind, and seriously, just leave a lot of money on the table, but also just it's going to get more competitive, definitely over the next few years. It's already brutal, and it's going to get 10 times worse by the end of the year, probably.
Oh yeah, well that's I think about that as you speak, that the provider ecosystem, obviously there's a lot of different financial models, with nonprofits and for profits, and you've got academic medical centers and like all different kind of business models. But the net of it is like everyone is struggling to try to keep their heads above water, right, and to be able to pay their staff and to keep the operations running efficiently and to reduce waste and that administrative burden. And so getting paid for all of the services they're delivering to patients is critical. And so if they can take a portion of that that would have been written off, and to your point, maybe not ever 100% of that can be reclaimed, but they can get a chunk of it back, then every dollar of that is a win. And producing, obviously, you guys get paid for the work that you do, appropriately so, but they want to get good ROI on that. But the other thought that I had as you were speaking is, a few episodes ago, I talked to Adam Block from Charm Economics about the ROI of AI in healthcare. And he was saying this is kind of an arms race in some ways, that, we were talking in that example about prior authorization, and, kind of on the provider side, we're putting AI in to write better prior auth submissions. And on the payer side, they're using it to try to, be more critical and scrutinize those prior auths to really decide which ones should be approved versus denied and sent back. And it is kind of the buildup of the arms race on both sides with AI tools. But I think having clear boundaries, clear business rules about kind of and especially as you said, like that the DOFR example, right? Like, what did we all agree to? If we said that this was going to be covered in this policy for this patient or this member, then that's what we agreed to. And then having the accountability driven back. The AI can do that better than humans, right? Because humans may try to manipulate things, but ultimately there's a black and white definition of what we all agreed to and what that financial responsibility is going to be. And we should be able to kind of manage against that.
Yeah, exactly. 100% agree. And that's a beautiful thing about what we're doing. I mean, we're really just helping people out. We're just getting rid of the ambiguity and doing it according to the business rules, according to the contracts. When someone should get paid, they deserve to get paid. And we're just making sure of that. And so I think there are some people, the behavior in this area, some of it could be questionable. I don't know. But for us, I feel good and confident that we're doing the right thing with our customers. We're just like, we're not, the manipulation is not. It's just, what are the rules? And doing it at scale, just to make sure that if someone made an error or something just wasn't done quite right, or if we know from our system, like just, how to way to adjust it with this particular payer of how to turn that denial into getting paid. Yeah, that's what we feel really good about. It's a good thing. Our team is excited to really be helping people, helping doctors get paid, based according to how it should be, how the rules are. The AI loves that. A clear distinction.
Yeah. Well, you bring up the people impact, and there is a lot of sensitivity in the world today about AI potentially replacing jobs. At least for this area around denials that you've described so far, it sounds like it was a bit of a forgotten island, right? Like this island of data sitting out there, no one is really working on it. So, the likelihood that we're replacing anybody. It sounds like we can add efficiency to an area that was kind of untouched and untapped. But in general, kind of what's your thought on kind of the impact on the workforce and how AI is going to affect that, for the areas that you guys touch at Gabeo?
Yeah, that's the cool thing. Like I said, we really are just augmenting. So it's nothing we're doing in this area because we see is something that would be replacing someone. It really is just making them look good. It gives visibility. We have better reporting too. We can kind of show give them the insights they need to do their job better, right? Because that's our goal too. We focus a lot on education, and that's one thing too. We're helping people level up, their skill set, because we bring a huge amount of domain knowledge to these people. We tell them, hey, here's ways you can do this yourself. So the stuff we don't want to touch, but we get these insights, and we can teach them upstream how to prevent. If we do catch something, we can say, hey, here's an area that can be improved upon. If you'd like to do it, figure out internally. But it's not necessarily we're going to touch, because we just we get lots of insights. So they love that. You go into the software. Our software is very easy to use. There's very little learning curve to it, and it gives them those insights, right? So they just go there and see, what is it I can do to make my job, look better? How do I get that promotion, a raise? Because we can visibly show them the best way to raise their numbers, whether in paid. And the C-suite loves that, especially like CFOs, because we come in here with this reporting and stuff that they had no clue about. They just had no visibility, and that's kind of the surprising thing with me is it's just how oftentimes these big players in the space really don't know what's going on with their data. They're just, they know there's some problems there, but they don't have visibility. So Gabeo, we really focus on that and just giving clear, very nice user experience, easy insights into what's going to help you all do better. And then at the end of the day, the CFO, yes, he's the ROI. It's one of our case studies, it's 40X ROI. And so we can't always promise, it's not always that high, but we're really shooting for at least 10. And so when you just do the simple math, people love it. So we're really happy about that. Just kind of, again, making everyone look good across the board. People, the boots on the ground, all the way up to the C-suite there's something for everyone in this with agentic AI helping out.
Well, yeah, I think about, the work that we've all done in reporting all of our careers, right? Excuse me, where, I get a big bunch of data, I dump it into Excel, I have to do a lot of work to kind of clean it up and then get it into a format that then I can start to report on it and then do analysis, right? And it's like AI can do a lot of that work for us by dumping in all of that raw data, doing the cleansing, pulling it all together, and even doing that analysis for us, doing the pattern recognition, right? So if we realize, this drug is always getting denied, or this, service code, right, is always getting denied, or in these conditions, right, it can notice, we don't know why, but we just notice that this keeps on happening. It can start to help us figure out those root causes, right, and kind of presenting that information back. So again, humans can operate, I think, at a higher level of efficiency and better work. We talked in the clinical side of things about helping people operate at the top of their license, but for the administrative side of healthcare, we want to help those people operate at the top of their game as well. And it sounds like your approach here, and this is obviously denials, kind of the first use case, as you said. You plan to get into others as you develop the company, but it does sound like it gives people an opportunity to really spend their cycles on more higher value work to contribute to their organization.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we're always. I love talking with our customers to try to get that. Because what are the pain points? That's really what we're looking at. What's the stuff in your job that you hate? What's that? What are those things? And usually that stuff that can be automated. So we look for those things, and then they can focus on the higher value. Because that's the thing. If they're spending hours doing this tedious work that AI can do in a few seconds, it just doesn't make any sense. And so again, they can focus. There's always other areas. There's never ending work that can be done. And so we're just maybe shifting the stuff. What do they actually like to work on? We do that. We really I think that's kind of a thing that I love about B2B software in general is people are having to use the software. It's their job to do these tools and use these various things. And so if we can come along and have something that makes their day better, that brightens it up, because I like our software to be light, it's very user friendly, and it helps them, and takes care of the heavy lifting that they were previously doing. And again, so they can optimize their time, and feel better. We talk to a lot of our customers gushing. It's a little thing. I know it's just business software, but I really think you can have an impact. Someone's spending 40 hours a week or whatever, staring at their computer using the software, and if we can have something that just feels like a joy, that little delight in their life, that's something we try to bake in their Gabeo. That's how I'm really proud of what we're doing with our team. And it keeps getting better every day. Thanks to our customers, as we're always doing. Asking our customers, how can we make this better? What would make your job better? What would make you happier? More productive? And they love talking and communicating. So I really focus on that. That's where I see kind of the role of product really is just understanding our customers and have that deep empathy for them.
Yeah, and that's great. And I think, that's a good kind of segue into our closing here today. So when you think about healthcare leaders and, kind of the power of the technology, I know many of them are working hard to understand what the opportunities are. So what advice do you have for healthcare leaders, and especially about how they might think about the opportunities with AI in healthcare space?
Well, I should be open, but also be careful. We just got back from a conference in Denver where we're talking to a lot of other companies in this space, and a lot of them, like if you actually are technical, and like I've been doing AI software for 15 or 16 years now, and so for me, it's just these buzzwords and what have you. But I was just like kind of shocked and kind of disappointed, and so many of the companies out there are just have a lot of buzz, and they say this stuff, and it sounds like really cool, but if you get into the hood and see what they're really doing, it's just they're throwing humans at it oftentimes. They might have some, chatbot or something technically AI related, but yeah, really, I would say level up. And that's why I like talking to people. That's why we spend a lot of education focus here, because because most of the stuff we're doing, no other company is doing it. They don't understand it at a deep level. And that's what Gabeo AI really is. That's our competitive advantage, is that we actually understand the stuff. And we love just talking with companies, and educating them. So look at our website of Gabeo AI. We have some speaking engagements and some conferences coming up where we're going to be presenting, what we've learned here. We have some case studies and white papers, and we're publishing some papers. And it's weird because we are really doing cutting edge work. And so I think it's important for leaders. This is the future of AI. You need to understand this stuff at least a little bit so you know how to make the right decisions. And and again, just be careful, like I said, because there's some of these companies that I don't want to name names or anything, but it's just, it's shockingly how they're getting away with just writing the hype and then not actually delivering value. And so I'm just proud that, Gabeo AI, we can really just show the value. We demonstrate it very clearly. We were very upfront. It's just the first few days you will see. And I think we really stand out in that regard. I'm really proud of the team, that we've built here.
Yeah, well, that's very clear from your comments. You're building something you're proud of, and I think that shows in the work that you guys are doing with your customers, and the results are speaking for themselves too. And I think having those measurable results really helps, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's something that we always advocate here at Productive Edge, is that doing AI projects. In some ways, like every other technology initiative that you would pursue for your organization, you should have goals. You should have some projected ROI. You should have some results that you're tracking to make sure that you'll know whether or not this is successful, because it's going to consume resources, either people time, financial resources, or something. Having some sort of clear outcomes that you're trying to produce and some measures that you're tracking are clear in terms of figuring out whether or not it's successful or if it's a failure. And if it is a failure, let's find out and let's learn from it and move on to the next thing. But if it's successful, we want to know about that too, and we want to know how to go and really scale that. And you talked about scale during your answers earlier too. And I think that's another thing, is we see a lot of projects that might look good with a small group, but don't have scale and kind of their build out. And that's another recipe for failure, unfortunately, in healthcare and in many industries, right? But we always have to think, okay, what if this works, right? How would we scale it, and how do we bring it to the rest of the organization and kind of take things further from there? So always good to think ahead and kind of plan. But and I think the other takeaway from what you just said is kind of surrounding yourself as a healthcare leader with those advisors who can give you the education piece, right? We'll kind of put it in terms that you can understand, that can relate it to your business, and then help you understand how you would execute around that. And I think, having a good kind of group of advisors around you who can understand your needs and put it in your terms is really important, again, for anything. But artificial intelligence, I feel like the pace and the pressure around it is so much greater than really anything that I've seen in my 30 years in tech. And the opportunities are greater too. So just even more important that you're kind of considering the risk of everything as you move forward too.
Yes, definitely, 100% agree. And so, it is the future. But that's what I'm saying. It's just like, I think people are placing the bets now. And I can tell you, there's going to be a lot of losers in the space. Eventually we'll see over time who comes out ahead. And Gabeo AI, I think right now I'm very confident that we're going to be one of the leaders in this area. Again, we're not trying to do everything, but in this area here, with providers mostly now, but other areas, we see healthcare in general. There's so much inefficiencies here, especially in the United States, but worldwide, of ways we can make it better and just really have an impact, a positive impact in people's lives. And I think here, AI, that's the best thing you can do. I mean, really, what we're ultimately doing here is just helping everyone on both sides of this by getting rid of inefficiencies in a smart way. in a way that's just, it's not wasting energy. It's not wasting your time with, buzz marketing stuff, the unnecessary. No, we really focus on very, laser focused on customer value and measuring it and showing that. So it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with our customers because it's a refreshing feeling to actually make a positive impact and be able to prove it very quickly.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think that's our, like not forgetting what we're all trying to do here, right? Is like ultimately helping people lead healthier lives, right? Having healthier outcomes, preventing the bad stuff from happening, building on the good stuff and helping people lead better lives. And certainly we care about our the ecosystem and kind of the providers, and the burnout is real in the industry, right? We want to help them stay in the game, keep taking care of patients, and having great outcomes. So this has been great, Michael. I've enjoyed the discussion and learning about Gabeo and the work that you guys are doing. So thank you for spending time with us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, well, that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed the discussion today, please like, comment, share with a colleague. We'll be back again with a new episode of the Health Tech Edge. Until next time, I'm Mike Moore. Thanks for joining us.